Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. I'm looking at a really special book today, and this is actually Carver on Bills of Lading, now the 4th edition, and it's been edited by two people who do not really need any form of introduction, Sir Gunther Treitel and Francis Reynolds, who will be known to many people, undergraduates and graduates alike. Big vote of thanks to them for taking on the mantle of producing Carver in the new edition. It's part of Sweet and Maxwell and Thomson Reuters British Shipping Law Library, and Elizabeth and I have written a book review of this excellent work. We've given the title of our book review, The Definitive Legal Text on Bills of Lading, now in a new 4th edition from Sweet and Maxwell. That's what you're getting. Let's have a look at the book first of all, for those of you who are not familiar with it. Now, I have to declare an interest because I did this subject for my bar finals, so I'm aware of the book. There's the front and there's the spine, there's nothing on the back. I'm aware of the book and its tremendous value. I'm also aware of how complex the area of law is. Now, let me just show you. It's 922 pages, so it's just under the 1,000. The index, which you see at the back, is very much house style for Sweet and Maxwell. It's paragraph numbering, and if we go forward to the front of it, it's a detailed index, and I'm very grateful to them producing. You've got a legal taxonomy there, which sets out how the index is actually structured and how it works. Because if you're looking for things, basically that's one of the most important things. You do have the Rotterdam rules at the back, which is very helpful. Let's go to the front. And then there's the front page and the names of the people who've produced this work. As I say, both of them should be very well known to you. The 2nd edition came out in 2005, so it's been around a little while now. And then there's a preface, which is set out from the two authors, dated the 25th of February. And I rather like this. He says, work on this edition was completed at the end of 2016. Some more recent material has been briefly incorporated in proof. So I'm recording this middle of 2017, and publication date's around about early part of 2017. And it says, Gunther Treitel thanks the staff of the Codrington Library for their help in facilitating access to much of the source material needed for his work on this edition. And I'm very grateful to Professor Treitel for saying that. There is the table of contents, which you can see structured quite well, a lot of detail here. And right at the back there are 10 main chapters, and then there are subparts in the chapters, finishing with the Rotterdam rules right at the back. And then you've got actually 6 appendices, which are relative, not that much, they're right at the back there. Then you've got the table of cases, and after that you've got the structure, you've got the sections, the table of statutes there. Then table of overseas enactments. Bearing in mind this is a global issue, table of statutory instruments, of course, and the table of the Hague-Visby rules, which you've got there, and table of Rotterdam rules, there we go. And then we get into the chapters. Now, chapter 1, you can see, has got a nice little short index, so you should be able to find things quite easily there. You've got a subheads there, and then you've got paragraph numbering at the side there, and you've got detailed footnotes. So all very much part of the house style of Sweet and Maxwell. Just going into the book here, there we go. A lot of detail, and here we go. Ship owner, charterer, and shipper. And you've got some quite useful information. I think for probably people who've never been involved in this, by the way, you do have a nice little bit of help here, a nice little cord to find things. But I think Carriage of Goods by Sea Act 1992 covered. For instance, this is a book for a specialist without any doubt. But as I say, I dealt with this as part of my bar exams rather a long time ago now, and I know the law has modernised quite considerably since then. Because in fact when I did the exams we didn't have a lot of this legislation. But what we do have now is I think a first-class definitive statement that's what we've got. Let me explain what we think about the book. As authors of this highly regarded legal text, Tritle and Reynolds must rank as the most knowledgeable and prominent commentators on current legal issues, but from Oxford naturally, today. And I think that's a fair statement to make, and I obviously want to thank them on the record for what they produced. We're very lucky to have their extensive expertise on display for the definitive 4th edition of Carver on Bills of Lading. Now, it's a leading title from Sweet and Maxwell and is another established statement of law which deals specifically with the concepts and rules forming a part of the general law of contract concentrated on bills of lading. Hence the fact that Tritle is involved in it, because most people will know his leading work on the law of contract itself. Certainly taught it and found it a very useful book because of the way he explains the rather more interesting aspects of what is a wonderful subject, contract. And of course this is an offshoot, really. I shouldn't really say that. If you think about it, it's a bit of an offshoot because it's actually about the bills of lading itself. It's a very special area. And of course this part of the law of contract and the way in which contracts are created relates particularly to the problems arising in a bill of lading context on the implication of terms or specific contracts. And do remember things like the basic publication, which is in the Sweet and Maxwell Common Law Library. That's Chitty on Contracts, which is of course the fundamental top book. But this specifically is about bills of lading, and so it's a complementary to go with it. And as I say, this is where you find the law. Now, writing in the preface, the authors say that since the publication in 2011 of the previous edition, 36 cases have been reported, and they're included here in useful detail for the practitioner and scholar to review. Now, I'm going to mention those cases in a minute, because it may be that this one or two of the cases you're looking for may well be present here, and then you've got an authoritative commentary as to what the gentlemen feel about the particular case or not. Now, Carver is rightly described as offering exhaustive coverage of the nature and uses of bills of lading in commercial transactions, negotiations, and on occasion disputes. And that is what you get here from Tritle and Reynolds, whose expertise is frankly immeasurable. And that's my opinion, and I think that should probably shared by a lot of other people. Now, the 4th edition gives the reader the following detail, and this is really why I've taken a little bit from the basic information in the book. It offers an in-depth analysis of the use and operation of bills of lading, certain related documents such as seaway bills and delivery orders by two of the leading academics globally, and that's what you're getting. It discusses the nature of a bill of lading, both as a receipt and as a contractual document, and it explains the roles of each party to the bill of lading contract. Again, I think those are very fundamental principles which are extremely well put forward. In addition, there's coverage of the contractual effects that follow a transfer of a bill of lading, with an examination of bills of lading as documents of title. And there's a useful explanation of when and how third parties can be affected by bills of lading. And I think that's always something that should be borne in mind. That's where a lot of the litigation, of course, could come from, potentially anyway. And what we also found very helpful was the analysis with the in-depth commentary of the Hague and the Hague-Visby rules for the international carriage of goods by sea. And the detail given was particularly impressive, together with the commentary on the new Rotterdam rules right at the back, which have received limited ratification, but is hoped will be widely adopted globally in the coming years. And again, there are special titles available specifically on the Rotterdam rules, etc. But at least you've got a very substantial authoritative statement here as well. Now, some extra features of this edition include coverage of the developments in the law relating to bills of lading since 2011, with much of the text being reworked and brought up to date for 2017. From the new authorities discussed, that these are the following, depending on what you as the reader may be looking for, and this is the list I've got: the Erin Schult, Fin Moon and Basic Reefers, Glencore International AG and MSC, the Sea Mirror, notice the spelling, the Superior Pescadores, the Saga Explorer, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, the Saga Explorer, the BBC Greenland, the Eames Solar, the Golden Endurance, the Devon, the DC Merwestone and the Sky Jupiter. Now I've added those because apart from the fact they're interesting cases, what great names! You couldn't really make it up, could you? And I think Richard Littlejohn should move aside when it comes to the names of some of these splendid case law authorities. But enough of the frivolity. Let me conclude by saying this book has been written by two of the foremost commentators on this area of law, and Carver is part of the British Shipping Law Library. It says British Shipping Laws, but it's British Shipping Laws Library from Sweet and Maxwell. And as we've commented before, it's this library and the others which make up the Sweet and Maxwell portfolio which actually make our lives so much easier, because this is where you find, in this case, the law on bills of lading. And that really, to my mind, is the beauty of the work that we have. And I have to say, having looked at some other jurisdictions, legal jurisdictions abroad, I've never really found anything that compares with the sort of information we have here. And I think we're very lucky to have it. The publication date, as I say, is cited at 2017, the law just at the end of 2016, so it's very, very contemporary. Let's have a quick look again at the book. Carver, here we go, heavy book. What types of bills are documents of title? Here we go. And that will help you if you've got a particularly knotty little problem. You notice, of course, a lot of footnoting, and you can see the paragraph numbering at the sides. And if we open it up again here, binding a person who is not a party to the contract, third party rights, again, third parties, big problems, bailment, dealt with sub-bailment. So you've got an awful lot of detail. Of course, you've got the Carriage of Goods by Sea Act 1992, which I'm glad to say hadn't come in when I did my exams. There is the book, there we go. And as I say, very big thank you to the authors. I'll just keep it like that. And to everybody at Sweet and Maxwell and Thomson Reuters, thank you for keeping this book going, because it does help us. All the very best. Bye-bye.